welcome back. So I was thinking about a couple of our float trips that we've done down Blue River, and we do a short trip. It's like 4 miles. We float from Cheadle's Crossing down to Milburn. It's an easy trip. There's no rapids. It's just really good. It's really good for kids and beginners to, if you get a new kayak and you're not sure about it. So sorry about the vibration. I'm trying to hold this iPad still the best I can. So here's what we got. Here's my thoughts on if you're new to floating, a body of water like Blue River, which isn't very wide. It doesn't flow maybe 300 cubic feet per second on a normal day, which is flowing good. So my thinking, you don't have to buy a super big heavy kayak. We went floating a couple weeks ago with some friends. They had some kayaks. They were massive. I got a Hobie Outback. I have a Pelican Catch HD 13, I don't know, it's 120, 130, I think it's the Catch 130, I can't remember that. It's the pedal drive. So I take my pedal drives out whenever I take those down Blue River. They are great for bigger people. They're about 80 pounds. I feel like they're too big for Blue River. All you need is a cheaper kayak, the ones you can buy from Walmart or a big box store. I would go no less than 10 foot. You can maneuver them very easy, and they're light. 40, 50 pound kayak, so much easier to drag up and down that riverbank whenever you're trying to get it in the water and out of the water. So your kayak length, I'd say my buddy, he bought a 12 foot, and his 12 foot was fairly light. It was Sun Dolphin brand, I believe, and I think he paid like $600 for it. It was a good deal. It's a good one for him. He's a bigger guy, and it worked out really well. It's not very heavy. The Hobie is a little heavy. The Pelican is a little heavy. They're bulky. I have some other Pelicans, the Challengers. I think I have two 10-foot Challengers, and they work really good. I really like those. They're great for kids. They're great for... I float it, and you'll see in some of my older videos, I actually dunked once. We come across a slab, and the water was pushing. I got crossways in the current, and it just flipped me over. I mean, it happens. So hydration. It's not a very long trip. I've made that trip in an hour and a half, and I've made it in 4 hours, 5 hours. Stopping a lot. We took a lot of people with us one time, and we stopped a lot. Eat snacks. Make sure you take something to drink. If it's a short trip, you know it's going to be a short trip. You probably don't need to take a whole lot, but whatever your beverage of choice is, I like sunflower seeds. I like the ranch sunflower seeds in the smaller packs, the thin packs, because I don't need a big pack to float down the river with, because I've got a lot to deal with, and if water gets in it, then I've wasted that whole thing. And usually the smaller packs are like 50 cents. So that's just something I like. I'll probably use some jerky or some fruit, something like that. So then I floated about a month ago, and my legs got sunburnt. Which I'll get back to this, I have some, I like using dive boots. They're a little bit higher than ankle, and I put socks on. And so when I got sunburned, I had a line that was down there. But the reason I wear dive boots and with socks is it keeps the gravel out. There's a lot of gravel. I've gone down with Crocs. I don't have a problem with Crocs. It's the only problem I have with Crocs, or maybe some of the cheaper water shoes, is when you go down the river, gravel gets in them, but then when you get out, you got to pull your kayak up that riverbank to put it on your trailer or your truck. So I think that the weight boots work for me. I work harder when I'm wearing Crocs. Now, they're easier to take off. They're put on, easier in the water. Your feet don't get hot and sweaty and stuff like that. So I got a sunburn. Let me jump back on that subject. I recommend sunscreen. We had a little girl go with us, and she is really fair-skinned, and it didn't matter how much sunscreen we put on her, she still burnt. And that was our longer trip that we took. It was that was one of the longer trips. It was time-wise, it was longer. It's the same distance. Just got to think ahead. I wear a boonie hat. Covers my neck, covers my ears. I mean, I don't have to. That's what I like. It's me. You do you, I do me. I wear like an Under Armour type shirt with moisture wicking. The only reason I wear that is I've been sunburnt pretty bad in the past, and it dries quickly. So I prefer to have a shirt like that. I don't wear the long sleeve. I just wear a short sleeve. You'll see it in a bunch of my videos. Ratchet straps. Ratchet straps are no good for your kayak. You will tighten them down too tight, and you can really damage your hull. I recommend the NRS, like a turnbuckle strap. You tighten them down that way. They work really good that way. I get the 15-foot ones because I have bigger kayaks. I put them on a trailer. I put them on my ladder rack. I have a lot of different places where I put them, and I have some 9-foot one straps, and they are just not long enough. So that is, to me, I prefer just when they're cheap. I mean, they're like $20-something for two, either on Amazon or eBay or maybe at Academy. I don't know. So, and always check your straps after you drive a little ways. Probably a good idea just to check it and double check it and make sure they're good and tight. I thought I had another point. I know I had it and I lost it. Paddles. On this river, it's not so bad. You can pick up just about any paddle. It's not a very big river. The water, I mean, it's just, I like sit-on kayaks. You can use a sit-in. You can use a sit-in kayak. And so I've been taking people down the last couple weeks, just kind of showing them. And to me, it just works better having a properly adjusted paddle to that kayak. I don't think you need gloves. The water can get deep. There are some deep holes. Most of the time, we don't wear a life jacket unless we have a small child with us because we can take them. But I mean, most of the time the water is only maybe 6 inches to 2 foot deep, and it's not treacherous. That's why I like this trip. I can take beginners down, I can take children down, and if you do get a life jacket, I prefer a life jacket that's built for a kayak. I like the NRS brand. I have one. It's Spider Cove. No, it's not Spider Cove. Spider Wire. I bought it on clearance years ago, and it's a fishing it's a fishing life jacket. It's got extra pockets and zippers and everything, but it's got a high back. So when you're sitting in your seat, that makes a difference. Seats in your kayaks. I've seen some people come down the river and they had real expensive kayaks with massive seats, which were really comfortable. I don't know if you need all that. I mean, you're just floating down the river for a couple of hours. You get in and out. I mean, it's personal preference. I don't want to lose a seat. To me, it's an extra. I like the little ones that are on this portion of the river, where I can take it out and put it into the. It's all together, and it's not going to fly off. I'm not going to leave it laying on the ground. I'm not, so, or it fly out of the back of my truck or wherever it's not secured, and I just don't want to lose my seat. Really don't have to leash anything on this portion of the river. It's a lot of fun. The water, we got a lot of rain last week. I want to float a couple more times I'd like to float this weekend. So we'll just have to see what goes on. And that's about all I can think of. It's actually a longer video than what I planned. But I was thinking about it, and I was like, probably just need to throw a video out there about that, Random thoughts about kayaking Blue River in Oklahoma. I don't like, there is private property. That was the other point I was going to make. There is private property. And be respectful, pick up your trash. If you see other people's trash, pick it up. If you, floating from the hunting and fishing area, you are allowed to float inside the hunting and fishing area, but they don't want you passing onto private land. The landowner down there doesn't like people going down the river. I don't see how he can keep people from doing it until you get to his slab. And when the slab, you're technically touching the ground or then you're technically trespassing. He blocked the river with a slab, otherwise you just keep going through. It's a navigable river, so I don't know. So check your local and state regulations. Check with your local game warden. Don't want anybody getting in trouble. I don't like floating from the hunting and fishing area down to Cheadle's Crossing. There's too many waterfalls, too many rocks, and it's really hard on your kayaks. I float from Cheadle's Crossing down to Milburn, and from Milburn down to wherever. But it's just a good way to get out there and paddle. It's beautiful, and the water is beautiful, and you can see fish and deer and bobcats and everything else. So it's getting out there and spending time with your family. I took my boys. I had a really good float with my boys here a couple weeks ago, and then some friends. So it's always building great memories. Anyways, so that's about all I can think of. If you have anything else you'd like to add, throw them down in the comments. From Riverbanks Outdoor Adventures, see you on the banks.